Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for checking it out if you're new. We're finally back with more Doctor Who. At last, we have the start of Shudigatwa Season 14. I know in the past that I recorded my reactions to the 60th and Shudi's Christmas special, but those videos got claimed to hell by the BBC for copyright. So I'm going to do something a little different here. This is going to be a bit of my unscripted thoughts, review, ramblings, whatever you want to call it, on the episodes. I might do this weekly, depending on if I have something big to say about each episode, or maybe I'll do it as a whole when the season's over. I guess we'll see how things go. At least today, I'm here to talk about the premiere, the 2-episode premiere of Space Babies and The Devil's Note. One thing I thought was interesting right off the bat, not having really to do with the show, but that Disney Plus added the church on Ruby Road into the season overall. I assume that's just to make sure people actually see Shudigatwa's introduction before they watch it. But we do. We literally pick right back up in Space Babies with where we left off in the church on Ruby Road. Ruby enters the TARDIS, and her and the Doctor prepare to go off on their journeys through space and time. I thought it was interesting that right at the start we get the huge exposition dump. The Doctor explains his name, that Gallifreyans have weird names, and so, my name is a title on your planet. And then he explains how the TARDIS works, and that he's from Gallifrey, and we see a bit of trauma there. He starts talking about Gallifrey with Ruby, and Ruby kind of almost pushes him too far, and then he snaps, and he's like, they're all dead. Time Lords are gone. I'm the last one. I'm an orphan. And so Ruby and the Doctor go off, and they have a cute little butterfly effect gag that worried me in the trailer, because the, Doctor Who has never addressed the butterfly effect. But it was a cute little gag where Ruby steps on a butterfly, and now she's a lizard person, messed up human evolution. And the Doctor just quickly makes one remark of, he almost, I question if he uses regeneration energy to, bring the butterfly back to life. And then he makes the remark of, oh, I forgot to turn the butterfly matrix on the TARDIS. Saying, the butterfly effect could happen, but the TARDIS exhibits some kind of field that prevents it. Something I also thought was interesting is when they arrive on the space station, they meet the creature that we later learn is the Boogeyman. And the Doctor exhibits fear, and he asks himself, why am I afraid? I love meeting new things. And at the time, I thought we were going to be exploring this Doctor, maybe having new emotions, having worked through, not being a Time Lord, being the timeless child, stuff like that. But it was later explained in the episode that it's because the Boogeyman, they say Bogeyman because they're British, the Boogeyman here is, the Boogeyman screams at a frequency that terrifies you, innately makes you scared. And I thought that was interesting enough that it even works on, all creatures in the galaxy, but I thought we were going to be exploring something different there. And then we learned that the spaceship they're on is a baby farm. And this was a little too silly, maybe, but Doctor Who has always been silly. So on this ship, they grow babies to keep the population going. And I think the Doctor points out something interesting, and that's kind of that coincidences never happen. They're never an accident. So he points out that, him and Ruby keep running into babies, from the Christmas special and now here. And so, again, furthering that mystery, I think the whole season is going to have a mystery around Ruby, as we've seen from these 2 episodes, as well as the Christmas special. There's a lot we don't know about Ruby, and I don't think Ruby knows it about herself either. Him showing Ruby space through the window was very much so, 9 showing Rose. This very much so invoked the feelings of that first journey with Rose and 9, where they go to the future and they see the death of Earth, and they're watching it through the spaceship window. And there's sabotage on the ship, things go wrong, just like here. And so the babies are running the ship, and it is ridiculous, but it also works. It's also really sad, because they kind of explain it that they're babies, but they almost have, adult intelligence, or are growing intelligence, because they're meant to stay babies on the ship, and they were meant to be taken to the planet, but they never did. Something went wrong. And so the one baby literally asked the doctor, like, did we grow up wrong? And the doctor gives her the whole, no, you're beautiful speech. And that's a great doctor moment. He even mentioned some of the timeless child stuff, like that I too was a baby lost in space, and people found me and took care of me. And the babies also just, serve as a good allegory for modern day issues, like Ruby points out. They force you to keep making babies, but then they don't want to take care of them. America, looking at you. The nanny, the woman who was pretending to be a robot, and how the device would censor her to make it like baby talk was funny. How she'd swear at the doctor. She's calling the boogeyman a bastard, and it's like, you illegitimate child, because it gives the textbook definition. Was a cute, fun gag. And all of it, like I said, Ruby has a big mystery, like with these babies. Her and the doctor have a moment where they like flash back when they touch to Ruby being left on the doorstep, and Ruby's mother acknowledges the doctor's presence, and then snow starts to come from out of nowhere. Like, it seems like it's going to be revealed Ruby is some kind of otherworldly being, some kind of dimensional being, almost similar to maybe the Toymaker, as we'll see, especially in the Devil's Chord. Yeah, I'm just not sure. It is an intriguing mystery. The bogeyman throughout the episode is an interesting little antagonist. They do a lot of, not showing the creature until the end. Kind of like, that's kind of horror movie 101. If you show something so much, it becomes less scary. Like no one wants to see Michael Myers and his drive to Haddonfield. He's just already in Haddonfield. Nobody wants to see the shark in Jaws. It's just the fear of the water. But we learn that the bogeyman is actually a baby that was made by the machine because the machine malfunctioned and is just creating what the children need. And, children need fiction in life, as Ruby explains. They need monsters. They have to learn fear. But the machine ended up spitting out a real monster. And the nanny is quick to try to destroy the monster, and of course the doctor, in classic Doctor Who fashion, stops the nanny from killing the doctor, pointing out that he too is alone in the universe. There's no other being like him. He knows how the bogeyman must feel. And so yeah, the doctor is a good man, and that pretty much wraps up their adventure on the baby ship. They send the babies off to the refugee planet to a happy ending. I'm not sure what they're going to do with the bogeyman. They didn't really say. They were just like, we can't kill it. So they had it locked in the airlock, and who knows what they're going to do with it on that future planet. Something I thought was cool here was that the doctor outright gives Ruby a TARDIS key from the start, which the TARDIS key has always kind of been a back and forth with the doctor and his companions. It kind of depends on who's writing it, on if having a key to the TARDIS really matters or not. And so the doctor invites Ruby, he gives her the key, basically saying, you're going to be my co-pilot. Like, people were worried about the romantic, implications that happen at times with the doctor and companions. I don't see that here. I think they are just going to be really good friends, and it is like giving a friend a key to your house. So, you can come over, you can come in when you want, let me know. And he does establish one solid rule with Ruby, which I thought was interesting, and that's that he can't take her back to go see her mother, to see the day she was dropped off, which that's kind of time travel 101. Think of Meet the Robinsons, where you don't want to mess up the timeline, which the doctor points out. That if Ruby were to somehow stop her mother or interrupt the events that happened, which they kind of already were in the Christmas special, or at least I feel like, maybe it's time got reset because the goblins are magical anyways, but like the goblin ship was right above the church where Ruby's mother just dropped her off. So did that not mess up the timeline? Did Ruby's mother not see that? Or is Ruby's mother some kind of otherworldly being who's unbothered by that? And a part of me kind of, again, hearkening back to that first RTD season with the Ninth Doctor, of I wonder if this is almost the Doctor learning his lesson from agreeing to take Rose back to see her dad. Because Rose saved her father and screwed up time and created paradoxes, and the universe was collapsing on itself. And so, yeah, maybe this is him kind of learning from that and like, I'm not taking you back there. And with that, the Doctor does scan Ruby, which I thought was interesting because he seemed so trusting and happy with Ruby and unawares, but he did point out the coincidences are weird. And so he unknowingly scans her without her knowing it, and he throws it up on the screen in the TARDIS that I thought was actually really cool. But the scans do say she's human, but it doesn't finish before the episode ends. Of course, leaving us on that cliffhanger. I'm curious when we'll see the results of that scan, or if the results of that scan will even yield anything. I know there have been all kinds of theories with Ruby. With it saying she's human, I'm not really sure what else she could be, other than, like I said, I question if she's an otherworldly being. And speaking of otherworldly beings, we have 2 episodes this time, and so we go into episode 2, The Devil's Chord. I have to preface this, I am not a music person, I know nothing about the Beatles, so I'm not going to know any of the fun little Easter eggs or gags they might have pointed out throughout this episode, if there are any. So we start off learning about the Devil's Chord, and this is an old superstition, which, again, we're seeing superstitions pop up, between casting the salt at the edge of the universe and the goblins, and just a lot of superstitious, a lot of fantasy or magical elements this season. But we learned that the Devil's Chord is an old superstition, an incomplete song that, when completed, can summon the devil. And so a music composer in the 1960s figures out how to solve it and ends up accidentally summoning the maestro. This is a villain played by drag queen Jinx Monsoon, and I really enjoyed their performance. They used they/them pronouns as they established in the episode, which for everybody going on, oh, Doctor Who's gone woke, they/them pronouns I think make sense they make sense in general, but I think they especially make sense for this cosmic otherworldly being. Think Mixie Spitalik from Superman. This being beyond our understanding. I thought Maestro then, this was the cold open where Maestro appears, and then Maestro on the keyboard plays the Doctor Who theme, transitioning into the intro, which was so great, such a nice little touch, because I think the Maestro does break the fourth wall a handful of times in the episode, like they are aware they're that otherworldly being. And the Maestro is the living embodiment of music, and we learn that they are part of the Toymaker's Legion. In fact, they refer to the Toymaker as their father. Whether they're actually the biological child or not, there is obviously some kind of relationship there. And we see the Doctor is terrified, because he was barely able to defeat the Toymaker, at least he feels. I feel like the Toymaker wasn't that big of a threat, but he felt facing the Toymaker was a struggle, pointing out that he did get regenerated by the Toymaker. And so the Doctor fears them, and we see that nothing the Doctor has works on the Maestro. For example, the Doctor uses the Sonic, which we get a new Sonic device here, because I think the Sonic is destroyed, or is at least implied to be damaged in this episode, and this Sonic is red, the one we were shown last time is blue. So I'm curious if the Doctor will just basically be going through Sonics this season. They'll just keep breaking and they just keep pulling out new ones. But at one point in the episode, the Doctor, creates like a silence field almost. And the Maestro is just able to overpower that and destroy the Sonic anyways. So Ruby and the Doctor go back to the 1960s to see the Beatles, and they learn that music is gone. All the music in everybody's hearts has been stolen by Jinx Monsoon's character, the Maestro. And during this, they also acknowledge the costuming, that the TARDIS has always had a wardrobe throughout Doctor Who, and we occasionally get to see, we don't get to see it here, but we see them like say, oh, our outfits, and then they go through one door of the TARDIS and come out another. I think the TARDIS doors, because we always only see the main console room, I would love for them to keep that gag going all season. Like, they go in one door and out they come the other side of the TARDIS, or, out they come the upper levels. It would just be a fun little gag. So, kind of the Scooby-Doo effect of going in one door and out the other side. And while they're here, I thought it was really cool because Doctor Who always kind of treads the line of the new Doctor acknowledging the old Doctors. They've gotten more comfortable with it as there have been more New Who usually references more New Who. They try to stay away from referencing classic because it can get messy. But the Doctor actually references the first Doctor and the pilot episode of the 1963 series, An Unearthly Child, where he talks about, me and my granddaughter Susan are over there living in the junkyard, in 1963. And I thought it was cool. I'm glad to hear a mention of Susan, because Susan is still out there. Well, I guess we don't know she's still out there, as he says here, but in the Christmas special, you might remember from my reaction, I thought it was odd that he says, I'm alone, when we know from Classic Who that Susan leaves the Doctor and goes and has her own life. But the Doctor does acknowledge she very well could have been killed in the genocide of Gallifrey. But this furthers my theory of I do think Susan is going to appear this season. Whether played by her original actress, or they could say she regenerated, because she was kind of implied to be a Time Lord. So maybe Miss Flood from the Christmas special is Susan. There's also an actress named Susan Twist. I'm not familiar with her work. She's a British actress, and she keeps appearing in every episode in small cameo roles. I'm curious if this is because they could just be fun little cameos from this British actress. But I wonder if this is another Bad Wolf situation. Again, I keep going back to that first season, that 2005 season. But where Bad Wolf was sprinkled throughout every episode, and then in the finale we learn that it's because Bad Wolf got thrown into the time vortex and spread all over throughout time and space. So I'm curious if this actress, she could be Susan, maybe popping up, traveling in her own TARDIS or something. I'm not sure. I fully believe Susan is showing up this season. That's my crackpot theory. So we learn that the reason the Maestro has stolen all the music is the Maestro wants to create almost a natural song of the universe. So empty planets, like for example destroying Earth via nuclear winter. Wanting to produce Aeolian tones, which are just like natural sounds of nature, the wind, the rustling of leaves, things like that. And so the Maestro wants to do this all over the galaxy now that they're free. And the Maestro also makes the remark that they're able to control anything with a tune. And so with that, they control the TARDIS, which I thought was interesting, because, the TARDIS does have the iconic sound, the pulsing of the engine of the cloister. And so the Maestro takes control of the TARDIS and forces the Doctor to crash land back in 1963. And the Maestro really does show off, I think, better than the Toymaker did. They're kind of otherworldly powers. And the Maestro literally breaks the fourth wall and uses the episode's musical score to attack Ruby and the Doctor. Like, the Doctor even makes the remark of, I thought it was non-diegetic. Like, he too could hear the background music and just kind of is tuning it out. Like I was in the moment. I didn't realize it until Ruby said it, where she was like, where's that music coming from? And it was oh no, it's the score. She's hearing the score. But Maestro's attack on Ruby, again, continues the mystery of Ruby Sunday. In that, when the Maestro attacks Ruby and tries to steal, her heart song, it plays Carol of the Bells, which we've heard every time Ruby gets dropped off at the church from the Christmas special. And so this Carol of the Bells, overwhelms the Maestro, and they start saying crazy things. They're like, no, why was he there? And the oldest one. What does he have to do with this? And so I am curious now. They said they used he pronouns, so it is assumedly male, or at least this being uses male pronouns. An opponent we're going to see later on in the season. Maestro also introduced, I forgot to say it earlier, Maestro also pops out of the piano and uses the giggle as, like, she uses notes as the giggle. I'm curious if the giggle will keep popping up from the toy maker and his children all season long. So yeah, there is something otherworldly. Like I said, I question if Ruby is somehow, like, if Ruby is an anomaly created by the toy maker's presence in the 60th. Like, she's not supposed to exist, but she was brought into reality when the Doctor cast the salt and released the toy maker. And then the Doctor, Ruby, and the Maestro have a music battle. It's fun. They're trying to find the missing note because they learn... The Doctor deduces that if the Maestro could be released with a song, they could be re-trapped with a song. But the Doctor can't find the chords. And wrapping back into the whole reason they came to the 60s was to see the Beatles. The Beatles end up finding the missing chord and trapping the Maestro back wherever they came from. The void, I guess you could say. And this episode ends on kind of it has a fun little musical number with kind of dark or, not great for our heroes foreshadowing that is coming. Like, for example, the Maestro, before they leave, says, "The one who waits is almost here." And so I'm curious who the one who waits is. Is this the person that was there the night of Ruby's birth? Are they Ruby's mother? Are they Susan? I am curious to see who it will be. I don't get crazy with theories, so I'm sure I will go on the internet and see somebody has already deduced who the one who waits could be. But we'll just have to see. I thought it was interesting also during this musical number, the Doctor starts a musical number that's about there's always a twist at the end. And, they're talking about the physical dance, the twist, but obviously it has the double meaning of there is going to be a twist at the end of the season. There's a twist at the end of every Doctor Who episode, There's always a twist at the end. Like, we see the Harbinger, which was like this child being that existed to free the Maestro, is still out and about. Like, they're free again. Like, they're out there. So I am curious if we'll see the Maestro again at some point. And so yeah, those were the 2 episodes that introduced us to Ncuti Gatwa's first season as the 15th Doctor. Series 14, or Season 1 as it's being called by Disney, whichever you want to call it. I thought it was an interesting start. I think I liked The Devil's Chord more than Space Babies, if I had to pick one. But I think both were good in introducing the mystery. They are putting a lot of things on the table. I do worry about getting too worried about the mystery. As Doctor Who has always, at least New Who, has been good about each episode's kind of its own thing with like a sprinkle of, oh, there's Missy, or oh, there's the Master, there's the Time War. Like, they've always been good about sprinkling the mystery throughout the whole season. This season is super short. It's only 8 episodes. So I do worry that we are not really going to be able to get that sprinkling, because we're kind of going to have to. And the finale is a 2-parter. So we've saw 2 episodes now. We've got 4 in between. And then we've got the 2-episode finale. So not a lot of time, really, to explore time and space with Ruby and the Doctor and all of these mysteries we have set up. So that's my biggest concern, is how short this season is right now. I'm curious how they'll do with the pacing. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on Space Babies and The Devil's Chord in the comments down below. If you liked what you saw here, I talk about Doctor Who and Star Wars and DC, Marvel, anything nerdy you could think of, as well as really whatever I feel like talking about that day. I talk about movies, TV shows, video games, books, all of it. If you liked what you saw here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know when that next one's coming. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.